Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast. I am your host, Kevin Bradley, joined, as always, by my co-host, Kevin Gallagher, with a little bit more beard on him than normal.
A little more today.
A little bit more length, you know, and I just shaved. So it's like he took some of my beard. And we are joined today by the legendary, the immaculate, multi-time IBJJF competitor and champion. Just fought on Kasai. He's got his new gym, Bastos Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Midland, Texas. Just opened up. Bruno Bastos. Bruno, thank you very much for coming. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin and Kevin.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome to be here with you guys. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Awesome, man. Good to have you on the show, man. Like over and over again, you're one of my favorite guys to talk to because you're just awesome, man. Like it's always cool to hear perspectives on things from someone that's been around jiu-jitsu from the early days to someone that is continuing to go out there and crank it and compete on the big stage, man. It's fun to see. You're kind of a hero to me, my man.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because me and Kevin will sometimes be talking, you know, and I'll think we'll be having a good conversation, and then in the middle of nowhere, he'll just say, you know, like, this is a good conversation, but I'd rather be having it with Bruno Bastos. Like, just like, yeah, I know, I love you, dude, I love you, but like, Bruno's such a cool dude, you know.
Oh my god.
All right, well, you were just before the show, you were just telling us that before your competition, you got a little sick, huh? Yeah, how was it dealing with that leading up to Kasai?
Not nice for sure, but had to do anyway. So, but like no, like I didn't post anything, and then like for me, like there's nothing to be said about that because people deal with problems every day, you know. So
Right.
I'm not the type of that gonna be like, oh, I wish I couldn't have this, I couldn't have this, I wasn't feel that way. It's just you wake up and then you have problems and then you choose to deal with problems or not. And then I chose to deal with the problem, and then I did the best that I could. And that's it.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, man. Because I'm kind of big on that too, man. Like if I lose, I lost. I'm never one to say that, because everybody has bad breaks, man. You're in a competition, you're gonna get a bad referee's call, you're gonna have this happen, you're gonna have that happen, and it's always important to remember that like you were still in that competition and you still decided to do it, and you signed on the dotted line and you trained real hard for it, and you were sick, and you could have very easily said, I didn't want to compete, or, you know, I got a bad call, or this and that happened. But at the end of the day, you were there and you could have taken actions to change the course of what happened. Just own it, man. I don't like guys that use excuses for things like that. I hate seeing those lost things where they say like, yeah, you know, I did my best and everything was cool, but if this would happen, I would have done it. Oh, big but this happens. This happens. No, man, you didn't do X, Y, and Z. Therefore, you lost, and own it, and everything's fine, and you know, move on with your life. Yeah, I'm big on that. So, how's your school going? You got your new school opened up?
Yes, man. So I moved to United States in 2009, and then I was in Dallas first, end of 2009. Early 2012, I moved to Midland, and then all this time I've always been working with someone or for someone. And then like finally last year, I had the chance of open my own school with my wife, and so we were able to close the deal in May of 2019 last year, and then. But it took us until November to open the school. So we stay from July until November, like no place to teaching. Just like we had a lady here. She does karate, and then she was letting us use the mat that she has on her garage
Right.
3 times a week. And then we were doing that. And then my affiliate schools here in the area, we were going like visiting like little towns here in the area, so we drive to those towns like during the week as well. So we have some students that follow us. So and then November 13 was our opening day. Bastos Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, headquarter of Team Lead. worldwide. And so being 12, I think 13 weeks today.
Wow.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of opening my own academy too. I'm getting
Yeah,
some things
so
together for that. Man,
13 weeks today, over 170 students, like
Wow.
we being like crazy busy, but is a good busy to
yeah.
be.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we brought an instructor from Brazil, Yuri Santos, who is a black belt under me. I know the kid since he was a teenager, coming up on the kids rankings under me, and then he won world championship as a juvenile. Then he had to stay in Brazil for 5 years because one of the times that he came here to compete, the immigration sent him back. Thinking that he was going to be here illegal. So he stayed 5 years there, but it was good that he focused on wrestling. He was part of the Brazilian national team of wrestling.
Oh wow, he's a stud.
Yes, and then he was running my kids program in Brazil as well. So young, 24 years old. 24 years old. So we just brought him, already creating a big impact, especially in our kids program. And then we have like assistant coaches as well that always start with us as a kids, and now they are part of our coaching staff. So that's awesome. All homegrown, and even Yuri that we brought from Brazil, like with me since he was like 13, 14 years old. So our assistant coach, Maddie Fernandez, Emily Fernandez, they are cousins, and then Xavier Tego. So my wife, Pat, and I, we've been very blessed on those 13 weeks, being crazy. But one of the reasons as well for my decision of like stepping away of professional competition.
Yeah, to focus on your gym.
Yeah, because like the thing is, I think like technical wise, I like as far as technique, I could compete. Like you guys, like last Saturday, I think I was doing a good job. Like as far as technique, but the truth is like when I can train like once a day. That's it. And then that time that I train, that means like I'm not teaching somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So the days that I train twice would be a day that I had time to do the physical training,
Right.
and then one session of jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And then that means like I didn't pay attention to other people training, like couldn't give them the attention that they need. And then like to be a professional athlete, you have to be selfish. Be selfish is a big quality as to a professional athlete. And then the coach is like the opposite, So to compete, like I will not like stop compete at all, like at all. It's like I still want to do Master Worlds, like no Guild Worlds, those tournaments are like on the Masters division, because competition is part of who I am. Is what I believe life it is. I think life is a competition, and I encourage my students to compete. Like it's not mandatory in my school to compete. In fact, like most of the students, they don't compete. But I encourage them to compete because I believe it's a big tool to personal development, regardless of your age. For the kids, they learn at a young age that they have to earn things and not be given things. And then like yes, they need to have a good coach, and then like the parent support and everything. But end of the day, when they step on the competition mat, they step by themselves. So they have to deal with the decisions that they're gonna make, and then what they're gonna bring, the good and the bad. So like I will not stop competing because that's part of who I am, and I cannot encourage somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do it.
Do you feel satisfaction in a similar manner as when you win on the competition mat as when you see your students win?
Now, way more the students. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like, way more the students.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, just like past last year, I was in New York for no-gi pants, and then my students competing, and then they call my name, and then I go compete, but I won a match and walk off, coach my students, came up, compete again, won a match, go back to coach my student, and then I remember that I won my division, and I didn't even celebrate because of my concern was my student, and then I sign up for the absolute. And then like I'm on the bullpen, they call my name, so I check in for the absolute. So I'm 2 matches away to step on the mats, and then they call the absolute for black belt martial one and the juveniles. So I had a student on the black belt martial one, and I have a student on the juvenile division. So after check-in, and then I go tell the guy to take my name out. I'm gonna lose by DQ.
Right, because you want to coach your students.
Exactly, because I'm there for them. I'm not there for me.
Do you feel like you are content because you have already accomplished so much in the jiu-jitsu world, and that allows you to be able to not care as much about it?
Yeah, like of course, I can't say that have accomplished a lot of stuff doesn't help.
Real quick. I have a list of your accomplishments right here, so that's some bullshit right there. It's like longer than
he's
longer than the road that I live on. Yeah, no, Bruno. Yeah, you're right. You're not a good competitor because you're saying competitors got to be selfish, and that's about the most selfless thing you could do. Just to try and pretend that your resume isn't gold plated, platinum.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry about that. I'm just like, that's some bullshit.
No, yeah, it's just so like of course, like everything that I have accomplished helped me to be satisfied, because I really feel that if you ask me if I could have accomplished more, I think if I had like a better guidance, I could have accomplished more, but you cannot choose like the path that, like you can choose how you're gonna react to life, but like a lot of times you don't have control over everything. So maybe in other situations with better guidance I could have accomplished more, but I'm very happy with everything that I accomplished. Man, I competed against pretty much all the greats in jiu-jitsu, with wins and losses, things that are gonna carry forever for me, because those are memories. And then like nowadays, like when I see a student like chose to don't move away from to go to a bigger college and stay here because we wanna like keeps like staying with me, or the family being part of that decision, or when I have students that guys met me in a tournament and then came to train and then moved their family to where I live so they can train here, or when you see like kids that didn't have any friends, they suffer from bullying, all that stuff from bullying, and then nowadays they have like a way different life on and off the mats, but because of jiu-jitsu, like, so those things like, and those are my world titles.
That's an interesting perspective, because when you think about all those things that jiu-jitsu offers, like those are things that like me or you would do for free. You know what I mean? I know how much I love jiu-jitsu, and I can only imagine that you love it equally or more than I do, and you understand that the what jiu-jitsu brings to the table and how it offers people help and the healing benefits and everything that they're incorporated with jiu-jitsu. So like I would do that for free just because I love jiu-jitsu that much. To be able to do it to make a living off of it is
that seems
what else could you want in life?
That seems like a common thing that I've found among a lot of like got coaches with a lot of competitors that they have such a love for it. Like Chris, a black belt from Jersey that we've actually had on the show before, he was telling me that sometimes if he's in a competition and none of his students are competing at the moment, he will find kids that don't have a coach and he'll coach them during their matches. He'll just go around trying to help, be like, because he loves the problem solving. He just loves helping.
I'm really looking forward to cross into that next frame when I open up my gym. I'm really looking forward to being able to say, I've obviously never accomplished as much as you have, but I've done a few things. I've had some fun. I've done some cool. You have
a good resume, Kevin.
Kevin, have you won IBJJF Masters a few times?
A few times. It's no big deal. It's cool. 2-3 times.
I've never heard that. That's crazy.
No, but
first time hearing of it.
But I'm no Bruno Bastos. Is the point I'm trying to say. But the point of the matter is I know what I have, and I know what I've accomplished, and I know that I have a unique opportunity to be able to help other people through the things that I have done, because I've been there and done that. I've been on the competition mats and done some pretty cool things, and now I can help other people to do that, maybe surpass me one day. And it's a cool thing, a cool feeling to have, very empowering.
So 100%.
Real quick, let's.
I actually had a real quick question before we get too far away from it. Bruno, you were talking about, a certain lack of direction that you found you had like in your early jiu-jitsu career. What, like, I don't want you, you don't have to get into specifics if you don't feel like it, but what do you find about your own coaching style that differentiates you from what you got growing up? Like, do you do things differently to try and give people
when I say, Kevin, when I say lack of direction, it's not like about like any person specifically. Like my martial window, I started training for him. I was orange belt, 12 years old, and then I went with him all the way to black belt, right? But he left Rio de Janeiro, 96, 97, going to campus, which is 3.5 hours away from Rio de Janeiro, and so that was I was a blue belt. So like I would get my belt from him on belt promotions or competition podiums, But I remember like when he left, and then Leo Santos, that was my teammate, and he was my age, but he was a purple belt, so he became like my head coach, So like I believe a lot of my jiu-jitsu. I had a lot of coaches in my jiu-jitsu life, like inside the Nova União team. So even though like Wendell was always promoting me, and I would travel to campus every time every opportunity that I had. But I had a lot of coaches. Like I had André Pederneiras helping me a lot. Vitor Shaolin, man, like he helped me so much. Robson Moura, Rodrigo Feijão, Gustavo Dantas. So like André
just those dudes, nobody.
Yes,
nobody big.
Marcelo Pereira that lives there in Florida as well. So Marcelinho. So like I have all those guys like helping me, but it's different than I think it. So, but it's in different parts, right? So I feel like when I see somebody, let's say like Gordon, he has John, right? And so John can like guide him, right? Or you see Bochecha, like he's a Cavaca black belt, but he has Leozinho Vieira with him, right? So like to guide him, like so. I'm trying to say, like I believe every great athlete, he gonna have somebody. Libia Mesquita, she has Leticia, like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, and then like I don't feel that I don't feel that I had that person. Like I had a lot of people helping me, but not like one mentor. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then I feel that because of all the experience that I had, I can give a much easier path, like approach to my students. End of the day, gonna be their decision, that they're gonna make, what they're gonna pursue. But I feel, because I feel that with the experience that I have, I can give them a easier path to like how to make to coming up on the ranks when it comes to competition, for example, or even like if it's not competition.
Have you experienced poor coaching? Have you seen poor coaching? Can you point out poor coaching and things that you would say are maybe detrimental to the progression of an athlete?
Yeah, like I have seen a lot. Man, like when you go to Nagas, Fight Wins, Fuji, you're gonna see like a lot of crazy stuff, right? One thing that I tell my students is, if you, like me as a coach, I'm not a motivator, I'm a coach. So I'm gonna give you directions of what to take. I don't gonna be like, go, 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 like go where, right? Like move to where? Like go where? Go to Florida, go to California, go where?
Right.
So like, and then so big part of my class, because when you go to competitions, we have a good group that competes. I tell them that people are gonna compete at the same time. I cannot split myself in 2, 3, 4. So they're gonna have to support their teammates as well, and they need to have the ability of giving directions and not be just like motivating. Like of course, like some part of the match you're gonna have to give an extra push, like motivating a person. But it's extremely important that, like, if Kevin gonna compete, they're gonna coach Kevin, and then like, Kevin, you gotta move, don't stop, go, and then like I'm giving him more stress.
Right, 100%.
Yes, instead of like calm him, giving directions, like giving him like the feedback what I'm seeing. And like sometimes I don't have to say anything, because if I'm not saying anything, that means that he's doing everything right.
That's the hardest thing that I find as a coach. First of all, sometimes you do have to be. I mean, not always, and I understand, but there are some instances where you just have to look at a guy as like, there's nothing I can tell you about your technique. You just have to get your head out of your ass and get at it. And you need to wake up, or you need to get a fire, blah, 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 blah. There are certain instances when and you know this by knowing your athlete. And I think that's the most important thing. It's one of the most underrated aspects of coaching, is the psychological aspect. It's understanding that I can motivate Kevin one way. Maybe I can get in Kevin's face and kind of shake him up a little bit, because that's what motivates him. But I can't necessarily motivate you the same way, because that might turn you off. I have to kind of like give you a little shoulder to hold on to and say, hey man, everything's fine. That's the important, one of the understated parts of really being able to motivate people.
But you only really seem to know that if you're really dialed in and invested in your athletes. Oh wait, sorry. Sorry about that.
Right.
But there's a few stories. One of like a coach of mine, I'm not going to name names, but he a prominent jiu-jitsu guy. One of his kids was facing a student of a pretty well-known dude, and my coach's kid was dominating him. And it was really he took the back. He was sinking in the choke, and the whole time the other more famous guy he wasn't even looking at the match. He was on his phone going, you're good, like he's not even looking up, just saying you're good, you're fine. And it got to this point that my coach had to go, dude, he's not fine. Stop telling him he's fine. Tell him to escape or something. I don't know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your competition. So let's talk a little bit about something that I'm interested in, and personally is in you as someone that, like myself, is a little bit older. They've been around for a while. Maybe. Do you feel like, because you have accomplished so much at an earlier age and at a time before jiu-jitsu was maybe even as popular as it is now, was still kind of like a smaller known sport, and that now you are starting to still be able to become relevant and still compete on the modern stage of jiu-jitsu that has kind of exploded into what it is now? Do you feel like you have kind of a chip on your shoulder that motivates you a little bit more to be able to say, hey, look, man, like I'm here to kind of show the newcomers that the old world of jiu-jitsu and myself is still relevant and still has something to prove? Or do you just kind of not? I'm just curious if that comes to a factor into you when you compete.
No, like to be honest, Kevin, like I had that the idea that I don't have people always say like, oh, you don't have to go, you don't have anything to prove. I'm like, that's up to the person. For me, I always have something to prove, but to prove to myself,
Right.
prove that I can do it, right? And if I believe that I can do it, and then like, why not? You know, because some people like, oh no, I don't wanna do. They don't pay me enough, or this and that. Man, you getting paid to do 60 minutes of jiu-jitsu, 10 minutes of jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. Like, why you don't wanna do it, right?
Right.
Like you don't gonna get punched on the face or a knee or like kick it. You know, like it's not MMA fight. So I like to do because it's a way of testing myself. You know, see how good I can do it. Also have that discipline that to keep the training, to go training either you're tired or not, either like you have problems or not, that you have to do it. I think that's is cool. And again, like I cannot encourage my students to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. You know, so that's why I did a lot. Like I don't feel that because wasn't the way it is now when I was younger. Like I did what I could with what I have. So I cannot be like, oh, I wish was that way back when I was like 20s. No, it wasn't. But with what I had, I did the awesome stuff like in Brazil. Yeah, didn't have the social media that I have nowadays. Didn't have like all the like flow grappling, like and then like all those things. But man, like with what I had, I think I did a lot of stuff, and then I'm happy with that, and then I hope now because I start having some good coming up students, and then I hope I can help them to achieve much more than I have, you know, because then I for sure gonna feel accomplished like as a coach as well.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think a lot of terms on a lot about competition in terms of young competitors versus older competitors and things that I have as I've started to mature like recently. You know, started to realize that, you know, if you're in the beginning, you do things because like when you get a blue belt and purple belts, a lot of these young guys that are starting to come up to compete, like their whole goal was to go out and try to make a name for themselves, you know. And to a certain extent, unfortunately, in today's world, you kind of have to make a little bit of a name for yourself in order to get on these bigger cards. So they, you know, you have to put yourself out on social media, you have to do all these stuff, and you have to kind of like maybe talk a little trash, you do all these things to kind of get some attention in order to get promoters to say, oh, this would be an interesting fight to get this guy on. But what I start to find out as you become more mature as a grappler and more mature as a competitor is that those things don't really help you. Sometimes you can kind of use it to burn you a little bit, to get you a little bit of extra energy to say, yeah, man, I'm going to show these young kids who I am, or I'm going to go out there and prove to them that I still got it. And, you know, I'll show all these doubters and all that stuff like that. But things like that, honestly, start to become more harm than help, because it distracts you from the reality of what it is. Like in reality, I'm doing these things because I want to prove it to myself. I want to go out and win because I love to win, as opposed to hate to lose, so I can shut the doubters up, the people that already think I can't do it. You know, something that I just think about that. I was just curious if you had the same thoughts on it sometimes.
No, like for me, it's like really, literally, like Kevin, like it's a competition day is another day on the match. You know, like I don't get nervous or anything. It's just I've been doing since I was 10, man. Like I think I told you that another time. Like I was 10 years old. It was a Wednesday. I did my first class, and then on Saturday I was competing. So I had 2 days of jiu-jitsu, and my third day of jiu-jitsu was competing. You know, so and then I get that people get nervous or get afraid of losing or whatever, but and then like I had been afraid before, nervous, all that stuff, but like today, after all those years, like it's just another day on the match, and then I it's just for me it's an opportunity of testing myself. That's it.
Yeah.
Because end of the day, nothing gonna change. My wife, my kids, my students, they're gonna love me regardless, you know. So of course, like you win something nice, and then the press, you have that highlight moment, right? On Instagram, Facebook, the press, like all that, and then like, oh, seminars here and there, or like a question about affiliations, stuff like that. So things that like that gonna happen, but as far as your personal life, nothing gonna change.
Nothing's gonna change. That's a very good way to look at it. It really is, man. Let's get moving here because I really want to get to that Draculino article. Kev, you got that to pull up?
Do you want to go do that right now? Yeah.
Kev, do you got something else? Do you anything else you want to add? I'm sorry.
Hang on one second.
We can edit. We're gonna. Edit
I gotta. Yeah, no. This is. I updated Firefox.
Okay, cool, man. You doing all right on time, Bruno? You got another 20 minutes, half hour or so?
Yeah,
Okay,
20
it's
minutes
not,
good.
uh,
20 minutes, 30 minutes maximum is good.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, whatever.
Okay,
I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're busy, man. This is
It's not letting me share the screen for some reason, but
that's cool.
I can just
as long as you can see it, that's fine.
I can read what it's about in case.
Yeah, just read it so we can fill in the people that are listening what the article is
Bruno,
about.
are you familiar with this that happened or?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for our viewers that
Draculino is the cowboy. Like I always thought, I have a lot of respect for him. I always call him the cowboy of Texas. You know.
Well, let Kevin talk about the article first and intro so the listeners know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so in case anyone didn't know, you can read the full story on the Jiu-Jitsu Times website. It was written by the always game Avery Clemens, our boss.
Awesome. She's such a good writer.
We live and die by her word. And
very
honestly,
insightful too. She writes good articles.
If she didn't like me, I think I would just cry and quit Jiu-Jitsu. But Draculino recently made some social media posts about how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and there's Jiu-Jitsu is now going by a ton of different names. There's a lot of factions in terms of like how it's taught, like BJJ, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, American Jiu-Jitsu, like all these terms that are being thrown around. And he wanted to just say everyone to don't forget the umbrella Jiu-Jitsu, like don't forget where we all came from, and that he doesn't like how territorial it's gotten. And so, and he said that the diverse array of names that are being thrown out are only because people want to have their own agendas and they want to insert themselves into the conversation. And so, as a guy who's been around for decades training, what are your thoughts on that? And a guy who's seen a lot of these terms just spring up, you know, what are your thoughts?
I have said before that. And I'm sure that I have told Kevin a conversation with him because we have done podcasts before that when people start talk to me about like gi jiu-jitsu, no gi jiu-jitsu, MMA jiu-jitsu, it's all jiu-jitsu. Like if you know jiu-jitsu, you know jiu-jitsu. You know, like jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. So I get it. Like people wanna like maybe like make a brand or whatever, you know. But I agree with the fact that it's all jiu-jitsu. People like talking with like, oh no, but like adding wrestling, man, like people been doing that since the 70s,
right?
You know, like I remember like one of the things that I would talk to my students is like when people name techniques, right? So like Eddie Brown has rubber guard, right? But I remember like on the 90s, I was going like 94, 95. So like that's like green belt Bruno, you know, going to tournaments to watch brown belts compete because back then black belts didn't compete much, right? And then I had a guy from Grace Barra, Eduardo Galvão, and then he was playing the semi guard. So I'm talking about 94, 95.
Right.
You know, but back then they didn't have the internet, and then like people didn't say like things like that. Or Nino Chambry, that came from Grace Bar as well, like same thing. You know, so like for me, like people people that have the right to create their brand, try to sell their brand. But at the end of the day, the truth is that's all jiu-jitsu, you know. And then one cool thing about jiu-jitsu is that keep evolving, man. Keep evolving. So like if I when I remember the competitions that I watched back in the 90s, like early 90s to the late 90s already is different. Early 2000 already different. Late 2000 already different. So that the last decade like different. Um, so keep evolving. Like I keep learning every week. I keep learning every week, like the same technique. Like I gonna if I'm on that class teaching, and then if I'm teaching both of you guys, and then you guys are already gonna do little different than I did because both of you have different body types. So next thing you know, like you already have a variation of the same technique, like inside the same classroom, the same dojo, you know.
With the same exact instructor showing the same exact thing.
Exactly. So like one thing that I tell like my white belt, I have a lot of white belts now, and then like I tell them, guys, you guys are having a great opportunity to have a lot of good coaches with you guys, you know, because I'm gonna teach, and then I'm gonna teach the fundamentals class one day, and then my wife has the fundamentals class she teaches, or you have the fundamental class that he teaches, but we all have different body types. So we have a curriculum, but all gonna have like little details that we're gonna teach different, right? So and then like everyone that's learning, they're gonna adapt for their body type.
Right.
One, two, when they try to apply, when they try to apply with different training partners, they're gonna have to have a different approach because they have to make the adjustments for the body type of their partners.
Right. It's funny you say that because it's in it when I, you know, we're living in a world of everyone is an instructor now because of the multimedia or internet and freaking Instagram and Facebook and all this other stuff like that. So you see a lot of people that show these amazing techniques. And they're, oh, check out this new entry for thus and thus from this position. And it's funny because when I see things like that, it's very rarely that I ever go, oh, wow, like that's something that's so new and innovational and different than anything I've ever seen. I can go, oh, cool, yeah, that's really cool. But what it really is, it's not the broken can opener somersault. You know what I mean? It's just, oh no, he just entered into an omoplata off of a freaking leg lock entry or off of a back take, and you know, because he went from half guard, he called it this, but in reality, it's still a damn omoplata, or it's still a heel hook, or it's still a straight ankle lock, or it's still a rolling back take, or whatever. You know, so it's interesting that you say that because jiu-jitsu is. It's like it's alive. That's one of the things that I love so much about it, because it grows and it forms on its own, and it takes on its own forms as it's going from one person to the next and the next. Like I could show a triangle to Kevin one way, and it'd be a pretty damn good triangle. And, no, but whatever. But you're going to show him a triangle, and it's going to be the same damn triangle. It's still going to be a triangle, but you're going to show him a few different things that you emphasize on. Finishing the technique, and like same thing. Even aside from Kevin, if me and you were to sit down and talk about how to finish a triangle, I guarantee you, before it was done, there would be a few things that you said, "Oh wow, that's pretty cool." You know what I mean? That's interesting. The way you put your knee across to the side this way, or use your hand to push here. And the same thing would be if I was to you and say, "Hey, look." Yeah, that's interesting the way Bruno said, he grabbed his foot on this side or anything like that. Jiu-jitsu is, so when you hear guys talk about creating new things, like it's cool. You know, you might have a new innovative way of looking at things that is successful, and the proof is always going to be in the product that you put out. If you have successful competitors, successful this, successful that, people are going to come to you because obviously you're doing something right. But to say that you have reinvented the game in order to promote your own brand is a little bit obnoxious as far as I'm concerned.
In the end of the day, Kev, I think is like, for example, Draculino came with the article. I know because like Keenan doing that American Jiu-Jitsu thing now, and then Flow Grappling, like they push that a lot.
Right.
You know, I think like one, Flow Grappling want followers, and two, Keenan want attention, so they put together. And then
Right.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. It's like they want to do that way, but I understand Draculino 100%, and I agree. I agree with what he's saying. The end of the day is all jiu-jitsu. You know, either you do no gi, like it's a self-defense, it's a competition. Man, you're doing jiu-jitsu, and then. But one thing also that he said is that people they just don't appreciate what who has paved the way has done.
Right. 100%.
You know, so that's the big problem. That's the big
Right.
problem. So people forget those things. So like when I see like a good athlete winning everything, but not saying like nice things, like I don't wanna my 6-year-old son look up for that athlete.
Right.
You know, I want my 6-year-old son look up for somebody that does the right thing. That no is not perfect. You're gonna mess up like everybody else, but you can see that they is genuinely a good person. You know, and not trying to step in anybody in order to be successful. You
Right.
know?
If there's no Henzo Gracie or Clark Gracie or freaking Roger Gracie or Draculino, then there's no John Danaher. And then if there's no John Danaher, then there's no Gordon Ryan. And you follow how it works. And I agree with you too. The one thing I would say, and maybe you can comment on this a little bit, because I personally believe that you and a lot of others instructors understand the difference between this. I feel like some of the critiques that some of the new American Jiu-Jitsu fighters and some of the fighters that are going off in this tangent like to say is that sometimes some of the old school Brazilian teachers have an opinion of that if you're not focusing on their way of things, then you're not following what true jiu-jitsu is. And I don't think that Draculino is saying that. I think that Draculino is trying to actually break down that stigma. But do you see that, just to play devil's advocate, do you see that from the other side of the table too, that 100%. Maybe some people think that, well, you're not training in the gi, or you're not doing this, or you're not doing that, therefore you are not training real jiu-jitsu because you can't trace your legacy back to Rio de Janeiro or one of the things like that.
Let's I'm gonna take away from jiu-jitsu first, right? So let's say like basketball, like let's say track and field. So if 100 meters nobody could run under 10 seconds, and now the record is like 9:50 something seconds, 90.50 something seconds. So it's because there is evolution. So of course, if there is evolution, there is better athletes. Right? And it is the same in jiu-jitsu. So I just said that I keep learning. So the art keep evolving.
Right.
So like why I'm saying that, because like some of the old school guys, and I consider myself old school, all right?
But you're very forward thinking. I've noticed that about you. One of the things I respect about you always.
Yeah. So but some of those school guys, they're gonna say like, oh no, because the true jiu-jitsu was back on the 80s. Oh no, the true jiu-jitsu was back on the 90s, like looking just for submission. Man, when I was going to the tournaments on the 90s, if a black belt match had a submission, would be like one of the greats against a guy that had no business of being on the mat with him.
That's
funny. Because like I mean, like I remember that I love to watch like Amaury Bittecho versus Fábio Gurgel. And then was like, for somebody that doesn't love jiu-jitsu, gonna be a boring match.
Right.
There's not a lot of action. It was not.
Right.
Back then, they didn't have the call, like the penalty calls, all that stuff is stalling.
Right.
So you could literally like
they're gonna stand up for freaking 30 minutes, or one guy's gonna pull guard, and the other guy's gonna try to break his guard for about 7-8 minutes, and that's gonna be the whole match.
But I love to watch that.
Right.
So the thing like I'm trying to say is that if you get the 96 World Championship, like the world champions of the 96, the black belt world champions, and you put them against the 2019 world champions, man, it's not fair comparison. 2019 are much better athletes. They have much more like information. They have much better training. They have much better everything. So the jiu-jitsu now it is better. It is better. So somebody that's good now is better than somebody that's good back then. Oh, but that, well, like, unfortunately, was in different era. Like, I will be 40 now. Like, I'm not 20. My student, like, well, like, so I'm 39. I always make a joke with my students. They say, "Oh no, professor, but you're not old. Like, you're 39." I was like, "Yeah, but 39 is not 29."
Right. And you've been training since you were 10, so that's a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So
what do you say? What do you say to old school jiu-jitsu guys that say that sport jiu-jitsu is diluting the true origins of what jiu-jitsu is, which is self-defense and self-defense, personal defense type things, because people don't concern themselves as much with controlling positions and blah 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 blah, and the new school of sport jiu-jitsu kind of opens up the game a little bit more. What do you say to guys like that say that maybe sport jiu-jitsu is hurting what the true essence of jiu-jitsu should be?
So I'm a jiu-jitsu coach, right? Like professor, sensei, whatever people want to call, right? And then, like, my son, he will be 7 this year. He trains jiu-jitsu. So I'm saying that because I'm putting the perspective of somebody who runs a school, who teaches full time, who has a kid who does jiu-jitsu. I'm much more comfortable with my kid, like, taking the classes, doing gi, no gi, having judo and wrestling part of the curriculum on the jiu-jitsu curriculum, going to competitions. He likes to go to competitions. He gonna compete on kids now this weekend. I'm much more comfortable with him defending himself on the school if he needs with that than if I would be like trying to do a pretending self-defense situation, or if the kid does this or the kid does that. Yeah, he is like, how can you not say that is self-defense? You competing against another trained man that trying to choke you and break your arm. It is not a self-defense.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Are you not defending yourself?
Yeah, 100%.
Doesn't matter if it's a gi or no gi. Like, so how that's not self-defense?
I always go back and say this about that when you talk about why jiu-jitsu is the best martial arts for self-defense, and it's less to do with the actual techniques involved in jiu-jitsu and more about the application of it. Because when you train jiu-jitsu every day, me and you could snap hands and we can recreate what a real life fighting scenario is going to be over and over and over again, because there's no fear of really hurting each other. Because if you get me an armbar, I tap and we start over again. If you choke me, I tap and we start over again. There are very few martial arts on the planet, and I can't honestly think of any of them that you can truly do that and truly recreate real life scenarios over and over and over again
at 100%
without killing yourself. You could like Krav Maga. I always use this analogy. Like, I don't care how many times I practice to take a knife out of your hand, until you're trying to kill me with it, it's never going to be the same. Now, it's not worthless. There's nothing that's worthless. You're learning interesting things that may help you, but in jiu-jitsu, what you're really learning is how to maintain your cool and think logically when someone is under duress of trying to harm you and your family.
That would be a great call to get, though, is that Mr. Bastos, sorry, your son was being bullied, but then he wasn't. No. I'm saying, no, this is a hypothetical. Your son was being bullied, but then he pulled guard, established worm guard, was able to berimbolo the bully. No one knew what was happening. Luckily, I'm a purple belt, so I watched it. It was great. I threw it up on YouTube. But to just in terms of all his opinions on the variety of like brandings that are out there in terms of jiu-jitsu, I agree with him that it's important to remember, the trunk of the tree. And I think that But I also
100%.
think that I don't know if the situation he's describing is necessarily a problem, because I always see everybody willing to give it up to, you know, the roots and the origin. Like even Eddie Bravo, back when he was first starting 10th Planet, he never forgot to thank the Gracies. And they obviously didn't like him for a while. You know, there was a lot of beef
Bravo
there.
not, but other newer guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Keenan giving it up pretty. I know him and Jake Shields. They were the two guys. I think Jake Shields is the first guy to start saying American Jiu-Jitsu rather than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu itself is taken from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. So, like, there's a lot of lineages that we got to be honoring here. But
it's silly to say that, because, you know, the actual, like, if you look at Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and you look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like, it's just not the same thing.
I think
very
that
similar. There's very similar aspects to it, but it's a completely different ball.
Whenever any sort of discipline or group or idea goes on for a long time, it's gonna fracture and divert in a bunch of different directions, because people are different. People like different things about anything. You know, look at, like, when it's either it's religion or people that like the same movies. There's all these factions inside, and they can all like the main thing, but like it and express it differently. So, you know, I like that there's a lot of different teams out in jiu-jitsu. I like that it's so long as people get along and no one's mean about it and territorial. Like, I like the fact that you can go to a 10th Planet school and they got a weird sequence they do to warm up. It's a lot of different stuff. I like that you could go to a Keenan class and have a different vibe there, or a Danaher class, or a traditional, like, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu class.
All that's cool, Kevin. Like, the thing is, like, when I say that everything is jiu-jitsu, is like, so let's put on a sport of wrestling, right? So there is American style of wrestling, so that Cuban style gonna be different, right? Like, Russians gonna be different. Like, so, but end of the day, it is wrestling.
Yeah, you don't say Russian wrestling, you just say wrestling. 100%.
So judo, like, man, I love judo. There is definitely, like, a Japanese style of judo.
Right.
Like, the Brazilian style of judo has European style and East European style of judo. You know, and then, but it's judo. So it's just jiu-jitsu, man.
So I know Bruno's got to get going. I just want to say one more thing, because it's kind of topical, just to kind of defend the Eddie Bravo guys, like, just to kind of hammer in the point a little bit more about what it means to really to honor the things. I went to Boogie School out in San Diego a couple times, 10th Planet San Diego, and if you look at on the wall, there's a picture of Eddie Bravo, Riga Machado, Haleo, and then Maeda, which is, you know, it's always interesting for me to see that, because, you know, people talk about, oh, you know, 10th Planet this, 10th Planet that, but even Eddie Bravo, and even if you talk to Regan at the same time, like, Regan always says that Eddie Bravo was the most humble freaking, like, he never has a bad thing to say about Regan or the lineage of the
I like Eddie a lot. I like Eddie Bravo a lot.
He's done a lot for jiu-jitsu. Really has.
100%.
Well, I know you got to get going, man, and I appreciate your time, man, and just real quick, man, again, dude, I don't want to make it weird, but, dude, you're awesome, man. You really are, man. Really an inspiration to me. And every time I get to see you compete, and every time I get to talk to you, I'm more impressed with you, man. You really are a good dude. So thanks for making the time to come on the show. And
thank you.
And I appreciate talking to you, man. You always have great insights for us.
Hey, Kevin, just for the future, you know, if you preface something by saying, I don't mean to make it weird, you've made it weird.
I've made it weird.
It's too late.
Right. Sorry. How are you, Bruno?
Thank you. Thank you guys for the opportunity. Hope my feedback help a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good, like, to talk about jiu-jitsu. I can talk about jiu-jitsu, like, all day, every day.
Cool, man. Go check out Bruno Bastos School, guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll be sure to plug all the relevant social media and pages and the story that comes out. But yeah, this has just been a nice good old conversation with one of the best in the sports history. And even if he doesn't agree to that, his list of accomplishments would say that. So he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. But that is another episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Times podcast in the can. As always, I am Kevin Bradley, joined by Kevin Gallagher and Bruno Bastos. Bruno, we hope to have you back soon. If you ever want to come around and just have Kevin tell you how great you are.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night either. So I might be laying it on a little bit heavy. I'm pretty sick too. I've had a damn cold for freaking.
Hey, Bruno, I just freaking love you, man. You know, just like you're great. You're a great dude. I love your head. I love your. I love you, man. That's what it is. That's what it is.
now you made it weird. now he's never gonna want to go.
Okay, yes, but thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good day. Go to practice tonight.
Go practice.
I know some of you are thinking about skipping tonight.
Go train.
Go train, everybody.